All right, we are back here on the Halloween special of the Just Ending Suffering podcast. You just missed John Stanko talking about the Mandalorian premiere. Join me now to talk about The Haunting of Bly Manor. Our next Halloween event is the show's pop culture correspondent, Sam Derosa. Sam, welcome back. How are you?
Thanks for having me again. This is good stuff. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and back-to-back weeks as well. We just talked about Supermarket Sweep last week.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is like giving my work from home vibe extra spice.
It is extra spicy. And speaking of extra spicy, I want to give a shout out to the great Sterling K. Brown, who liked one of our tweets last week.
What a cool dude, man. What a cool dude.
Yeah, I was sitting there on Twitter because I'm putting them out. I'm getting the notifications. I see a notification on my timeline that says, Sterling K. Brown liked your tweet. And it was talking about Sterling K. Brown's portrayal of Leo on the West Wing special we talked about last week. I'm sitting there like, okay, Sterling K. Brown fan account. I open it up. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the actual Sterling K. Brown verified account.
When you text me, you're like, go check out the tweet or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
And then I made my own tweet. It didn't get nearly as much traction, but it's okay. He didn't have to like that tweet too. That's asking for 2 likes is, I think, asking for too much, but it's okay.
It's okay. It's our second most notorious pop culture one. Actually, our most notorious. Second most was when I talked to Alan Oz about Tough as Nails back in the summer, and the host of the show, Phil Kogan, actually retweeted it. So we're getting somewhere with this.
Hey, look at this. You are gaining some serious stride here.
Yeah, we are gaining some serious stride. We're going to talk today about The Haunting of Bly Manor, the Netflix show, the follow-up in the anthology series, The Haunting of Hill House. It dropped earlier this month. It took me a while to actually finish it because, as Sam knows, I'm a terrible binger. I tend to do one at a time. Sam, how long did it take you to actually finish this show?
A day and a half.
It took me about 3 weeks.
Oh my God. How did you wait that long?
For me, it's just a matter of like what I actually have time for, because it's like these episodes are not short. They're like at least 50 minutes.
I know, but that's what staying up really late when you're supposed to be catching up on some serious V's kind of deal. But I stayed up and watched it. I got up one morning on a Friday, and that's like my day off in the morning. Watched it from like 8 in the morning to like 3. Had some like breaks here and there. And then I finished it on Saturday morning before in between work.
I will say, though, the slow burn did help this to me, because I remember I was sitting there marinating on each point between the episodes. I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? I think this helps, because I think it's also why the Disney Plus model works with The Mandalorian, because you have a week to marinate. The episode model is not dead, at least in my world.
Yeah, I mean, I like when things come out all at once, because I'm definitely have the personality for binge watching. Like, I'm going to be happy when The Mandalorian comes out every week. It gives me something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I like watching like 10 episodes all at once, like digesting it all.
Yeah, and this show, like, obviously, it's the Haunting of Bly Manor. It's about a nanny from America who goes to help raise these 2 kids at a haunted mansion in Bly, England. And I just think it's definitely a lot of fun, and it is the spiritual successor to Haunting of Hill House. Some of the same actors are in it playing different roles. Like, what do you think was the big difference in your mind between Hill House and Bly Manor?
I feel like Bly Manor was supposed to be more like jumpy. Like you were waiting for something to jump out at you. I know that doesn't make any sense. Like, I guess I felt that way with Haunting of Hill House, but it's been so long since I got that fresh taste. But I really enjoyed Bly Manor. Like, it was a different type of ghost story, and I think that's what they were going for. What do I know? I mean, I didn't write any of this, produce it, /direct anything. Anywho, I'll put that little asterisk in there. But I really thought that, like, I liked that it was different than Hill House.
Yeah, before we go any further, I'm going to play the spoiler warning in case you haven't finished binging Hill House yet.
Oh, yeah.
Bly Manor yet, so. All right, so if you are not finished Haunting of Bly Manor yet, go out, get out of here, go watch the show, come back at the end, and then let us know what you think. But I think the big difference to me is just like, I feel like The Haunting of Hill House was a true like horror story where you have the kids getting haunted by this mansion, and we have them sort of dealing with this trauma throughout their lives from their time at Hill House. But here, I think this was basically a love story in disguise, this series.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because like the main thrust of this series is we have sort of a love story between Danny, the nanny, played by great Victoria Pedretti, who played Nell in Hill House, and Jamie, played by the newcomer Amelia Eve, and it's a same-sex relationship. It's a very well-handled relationship, and you see basically the through line through the 9 episodes is their relationship progressing.
Yeah, which was it was like a nice surprise because I didn't know where this was gonna go. I know that they said it was kind of like a haunting, but it was also a love story in the first episode. But still, it's like that's something like the first episode you kind of forget about, even though they prefaced it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And basically, at the end of this, at the whole series set up with this overarching structure, as I forgot about, because again, I'm doing it over 3 weeks, and at the at the premiere, we have this wedding going on, and we have the narrator played by Carla Gugino, who played the mom in Haunting of Hill House, and she's telling a story, and basically she's the narrator throughout the series, and we find out at the end that she is actually grown up Jamie, 30 years in the future, and Danny at that point has passed away. She took her own life. We'll get to why in a bit, but I did like that sort of structure, sort of give it a different twist on the story than what Hill House did, was basically just using flashbacks, jumping back and forth between the stories.
Yeah, no, that was a nice, I was wondering if this was going to be a story about somebody's life, but I wasn't expecting it was going to be Jamie telling the story.
No, I was sitting there, I'm like, because they think it's a good bait and switch in their part, because once you see that you spend most time with Danny, you're like, oh, this is probably grown up Danny telling you the story. And then at the end, it's Jamie. You're like, oh, that's a pretty nice twist.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought it was going to be Flora telling the story.
That's also a good candidate. Speaking of Flora, I think they nailed the casting of these kids, because those kids were creepy at times, and some of the range they had to act was incredible.
Definitely, but did you see who the actress who plays Flora? What else she's done?
No, I have not. What else she's done?
She's apparently, I haven't fully checked this myself, but I've seen a bunch of funny videos on TikTok and everything that she's the voice of Peppa Pig.
Really?
Apparently, I don't want to throw false information on your podcast, but it's funny because on TikTok they're like, oh my god, Flora from Bly Manor is the voice of Peppa Pig, and I'm like, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm trying to fact check that right now to see if she.
You know, it's so funny because I'm doing that too right now as well as we speak. I had to say it, but
yeah, we have to fact check that. But the thing that's interesting about these child actors is that obviously they are playing themselves and they are pretty creepy kids, but we see at times that they act like adults, they're way too mature for their age at points, and then we find out this is one of the haunting effects of the manor, because people who die on the mansion grounds for at least a solid couple hundred years, they don't leave the grounds, and then they sort of possess living people, try and get themselves out of there. And we see at points that Miles and Flora are being possessed by deceased character, which is actually pretty creepy.
Yeah, no, it's that whole. I feel like that's why. I know everyone's probably going to disagree with me. I thought this season was scarier than Hill House.
That's a hot take. I've seen people go the other way and say that Hill House was definitely scarier.
I don't know what it was about Bly Manor. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's 2020 and everything's a little extra scary nowadays. But I don't know. I felt more scared watching this, and I felt more jumpy every time I watched it than I remember initially from Hill House.
Yeah, I think it's a different type of scary, whereas Hill House, I feel was going more for the jump scares and the OS moments, you can't believe this happened, or you didn't see this ghost in the corner, where this is feel like it's a little more psychological in terms of the scares.
Yeah, especially because so you don't see the ghost all the time on Hill House, so you get that feeling of uneasiness. But with this one, it's just boom, scariness.
Yeah, I did do the fact check, by the way. You are correct that Amelia Bay Smith is the voice of Peppa Pig, and she plays Flora on the show, young Flora.
Oh, my God. See, TikTok never leads you wrong. Just kidding. No. They do a lot, but it's fine.
We're not going to investigate TikTok. They might be a future podcast.
That's a long podcast.
Yeah, that's a deep dive. Maybe if we're shut down again, we'll take a dive into the world of TikTok, but we're not going to do that today, so...
definitely not.
No, I think one thing I think also makes this stand out is the use of the returning actors on the show. I mean, we had Victoria Pedretti's the main character, again meets a bad fate. She's maybe the third haunting show she'll actually get to live at the end of it. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Oliver Jackson Cohen who played one of the brothers in the initial show. Now he plays a complete dick in Peter Quint. We had
yes, yeah.
We'll get to him, trust me. And we have
I'm excited.
Henry Thomas, who played the dad in the original timeline in Hill House. He plays the uncle here. Carl Gugino, who we mentioned, and a surprising spot for Kate Siegel to pop up in. We'll get to her in a bit later. But like, what did you think about how they use the Hill House actors in new roles?
I thought it was really, I don't know, I liked it. Like, I was very wary about it, like, in the beginning. Like, I was like, oh, like, I'm going to, like, remember them as their old characters, like, blah, blah, blah. But, like, immediately, I, like, you know, I went right into the story because, you know, they're all great performers. So, you know, besides that. But, at first the wariness, but now I enjoy it. And if they wanted to do a third season like that as well, I'd totally go for it.
Yeah, I think the only one I don't know if he worked is, like, Henry Thomas had a bad British accent. His accent was very, very off.
But he's Elliot from E.T.
Yeah.
He's
know.
great. I love him. I can't even be that mad.
Yeah. I do think it was also pretty cool that, like, they did that. And we'll get to Kate Siegel in a moment. But, like, I think I want to touch on some of these plot twists because obviously watching Hill House, you got taken for a ride. I felt like this time there were some things I was able to call ahead of time. Were you able to pick up on any threads that end up being revealed as true down the line?
Yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness, I'm losing my brain. Hannah, I guess when she said she wasn't hungry, I think that was episode like 1 or 2. That she said she wasn't hungry and like she's a ghost, like 100%. I called that from literally like the first or second episode.
Yeah, that one I called. Remember, I actually was on the podcast with Alan Austin talking about the premiere, and we'll hear from Alan later on today. But I said to her, I said, like, something's off with Hannah. She doesn't want to eat or drink anything. Like, she's being weird. Like, I didn't say the ghost. I said something is up with her. Like, John Stanko, to his credit, did point out before, he said that he called Miles being possessed by something in the second episode. Because they did.
Well, good old Stanko. He's always on the thing.
You know, Stanko's more the literary critic of this group, so like he tends to be more on top of these things. Where like we're sort of reacting as we go.
That is true. I like not being in his level because then I have room to make mistakes.
Yeah, yeah. I do think they also did a nice job giving you hints about, especially all the times that like Hannah's touching her neck and seeing the crack on the wall, and then Jamie goes, "It's not there," and then like they tie it all together. In my opinion, I think the best episode of the season, there's 2 contenders. I think for me, episode 5, where you get Hannah's backstory and sort of skipping through her memories, I think that was a lot of fun.
No, that was a really good episode, but I feel like I'm a sucker for backstories. So mine's episode 8, the romance of certain old clothes.
Yes, those are the 2 I was going between. I want to start with the Hannah one because to me, I think you are a Lost fan. To me, this felt like one of those weird Desmond episodes where his mind sort of gets unstuck in time at points. He's skipping between timelines, and I think they did a good job of sort of laying out some of the ghost rules in the Hannah episode, and the way they revealed how she died was just so tragic and such a...
Oh my God.
It's just such a gut punch.
Sad.
And anyway, the way she dies is obviously like when we first see Danny, the au pair, meet Hannah, they meet at a well, and we see Hannah looking down the well. You don't realize at the time that she literally died about 30 seconds before Danny comes to meet her, and her ghost is staring down at her own dead body, which is really creepy.
Oh, yeah, when you put it that way, it's like, it's extra sad. You know what I mean? Like, for that character, and for the actress, she did such an amazing job in that episode.
Yeah.
Well, she did an amazing job all season, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But that episode was, like, awesome. I mean, honestly, my favorite character on this whole thing is Owen. I mean, like, I feel like everybody can agree, but...
Yeah, Owen's phenomenal. Owen the cook, and, like, he did a good job in the episode because, like, his personality in that moment, basically, he's Hannah's, like, conscience in the flashback scene, basically trying to convince her she's dead. and telling
Yeah.
her information that she needs to know for the purpose of the story. And I like the way they kept going back to that scene of her doing his interview and them constantly changing a line or two here to like sort of advance the plot a little bit, because one of the things they did with the ghosts was they gave them a recurring memory to go back to when they first cycle over again. Like we saw with Hannah, it was the interview with Owen, and Peter Quint, it was him talking to his mother, and for Rebecca Jessel, it was when she's taking the pictures of Peter Quint in the Forbidden Wing. Like stuff like that was cool.
Yeah, no, it was really cool, and it's just like really like it made you. I know this is weird because like ghosts and stuff for right now is like a made up story kind of deal, scientifically. So it's just like interesting because it made you feel like that's how you were thinking in a way, if that makes any sense to anyone listening. So like you were like getting thrown back and forth. So I thought they did a good job with telling like a way like a quote unquote ghost like goes through and is like present in the is present in the present, but is also like present in like their past stories.
Yes, for sure. And I do think also the thing I also called Alan that was also very interesting, and Alan was creeped out by this. The use of the dolls in the show was like, especially Flora's dollhouse was so creepy. And then you sort of realize as the show goes on that she actually knows where the ghosts in the house are, and she's using the dolls to place where the ghosts are in the house. It's really, really even creepier than some of the other stuff we've seen.
Yeah, but like it's so awesome. Her character is she's like, instead of being so scared like of like the little boy, because like, oh, you've lost your face kind of deal. Like she's just like, she's kind hearted. Like she's scared, but she understands. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I thought that for her being so young, it was just like she was such a good character. The part that really got me is when they're playing hide and seek and she's like in the attic, and it's I don't want to give. I know that we played the spoiler alert, but it's this. I feel bad saying it right now, so certainly tune your ears now. It's the sister of the manor.
Yeah, it's
actually her when she goes shh, and like when she's singing and stuff. That got me. That scares the living bejesus out of me. I was like, I did not like that. I liked it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, that's one of those holy ass moments when you see like her colleagues go shh to like the ghost like getting up from the basically starting her loop again. That was something else that was like very odd.
Yeah, it was very odd.
Yeah, because I try to remember what the concept was for the loops, because it's like that's also kind of Westworld-ish in a way where like the ghosts have their own loops they sort of go through, and because they sort of have to start here, end up back at the beginning of it. That's another interesting influence I just thought of.
Yeah, no, I thought like the way that they perceived being a ghost was very well done.
Yes, it was, and
it was different too.
Let's get to your episode 8, which is the backstory episode, and this is where Kate Siegel comes in. She played Theo in Haunting a Hill House. Now she plays Viola Willoughby, the lady of the manor, and we can see her backstory is a couple 100 years ago. Like her father dies, she lives with her sister. They get married. Like Viola gets married to a distant cousin. And this is something I don't think they had this in mind, but my God, this is so creepy for 2020 that she gets the black lung where she has this viral like disease, and they have to wear masks around her. I'm like, this just hits too close to home.
Right?
Yeah.
It hit like extra close, like at the heartstrings kind of deal.
Yeah. I don't know when they filmed this. I have to look it up, but it just feels like so timely given what we're all going through, especially when the doctor is checking her out and he's like, oh, it's not the plague. She has the lung. I'm like, oh, I guess the lung is 16th century COVID.
Yeah, right? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I just thought the way that the story was, like, the progression of the ghost being there.
Yeah.
And she's forgetting why she's there, and she forget, like, because you forget what she looks like and stuff. Like, the losing the face part, because, like, you're losing your identity.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was really scary. Like, you know what I mean? It's just not just on, like, a like a scaring tactic. It was more like a mental scare tactic as well.
Yeah, I think so, too. And basically sum up what happens to her, they try to give her last rites. She refuses. She says, I'm not leaving. And then she outlives her prognosis. They give her a couple of months. She lives for about 5 years after the fact. Her sister Mercy kills her because she can't stand the concept anymore. She ends up marrying the husband, which ends up being its own weird thing. Viola's ghost stays on the manor. She basically possesses like these fancy clothes that she wanted to give to her daughter. And once like the chest gets sealed in the attic, the manor falls into financial ruin. The sister says, I got to sell these clothes to try and help us salvage the mansion. Viola sees her sister like open instead of her daughter, and she just lunges and kills her. And that starts the cycle of Viola, the lady in the lake, which phenomenal name for a ghost. I think, as you said, the progression of the ghost is creepy because like she's stuck in this loop. She can't identify like what's reality anymore. She just knows that she wants to get to her daughter, and she kills anything that gets in her way, which is how Peter Quint dies, how some people die along the way. It felt awful when you see the kid in the bed and she takes the kid and drowns the kid. She thinks she's bringing her daughter with her.
Oh my God, yeah. It's just like it's scary because like she has no control over it because she doesn't understand until, you know, everything that happens with Danny. But like where she can like repossess a person, basically she becomes Danny.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely, like, you know, especially like that part where she takes Flora and everything, and everyone's so nervous, and she kills the uncle, and like you know that whole thing. It's just like it's such a like it's very stressful couple minutes in that episode.
Yeah, it definitely is. And we get to, you mentioned before, a thing that's also freaky here is like the whole thing about how the ghosts lose their faces, they start to lose their identity, and I think that adds to the creep factor here. Is I think we kind of figured out here, this is like more psychological thriller as opposed to the straight. I think Hell House is more straightforward. I think that sort of made it harder for the casualized access.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I just really like the fact that each ghost, like, they at one point knew who they were, and now they're just sitting there confused about what's going on. You know, like, that's scary. Like, you know, like, you think about, like, people who are like, oh, you die, you go to heaven and stuff. Like you know, it's just like you die, you don't get to go because your soul is possessed to this property and you don't know who you are. Like, that's, like, weird. Like, I don't know. That's extra scary, especially for, like, 2020. I feel like this came out at a good time, you know, Black Long, losing yourself because you don't know who you are because of you stuck in the same house for hundreds of years.
Yeah, speaking of losing yourself, I do want to get to this point, which is why Peter Quint is like the biggest douche on the planet. And aside from the fact that like his storyline basically, like he's having an affair with the previous au pair, Rebecca Jessel. Like he ends up like getting killed by the lady in the lake at one night, and his ghost is on the mansion grounds. He figures out the rules of being a ghost. He possesses Rebecca and kills her so that they can live together in the afterlife, which is so messed up.
Dude, from being Luke to Peter, it's just what a downgrade for his character. But then, like, shows his artistic craft. Yeah, exactly. But I'm just like, God damn, Luke would never do this.
Yeah. No, and he's such a dick. And then his brilliant plan is, and he and Rebecca, who were lovers in real life, their ghosts are going to possess the kids to leave the mansion together. And to think about that, when you're possessing like an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old as lovers, is like, ugh.
I know. I remember seeing that. I'm like, oh God, this is horrible.
Yeah. Luckily, Rebecca is not down for all that. She doesn't possess Flora. They help Danny like try and get the kids out, but this is when the lady in the lake grabs her. And you get to the point you mentioned in the finale where Flora gets grabbed. The lady lake's about to drown Flora. Danny invites her in to be possessed by Viola, saves her, but we have the ticking time bomb in the background of Viola's spirit basically trying to possess Danny. And I thought the way they did that last episode was very interesting.
Oh, it was. I feel like they try to like jam pack. That's my biggest criticism is I feel like they jam packed too much into the last episode.
Yeah, I do think they did kind of yada some key points there. And it's like
when you do these like clips for Twitter, I hope you do the what's her face from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Elaine, yada yada yada.
Yeah. Yeah, we're yada some key information, and we but the bottom line basically is Danny and Jamie leave the manor. Jamie, the gardener, and Danny got to know each other like very well during her time working there. They basically moved to America, start a flower shop together, eventually get legally wed. But Danny ends up going back to Bly, taking her own life when she sees the ghost of Viola trying to take over her and kill Jamie. So very good sacrifice from Danny's character, and it's a very tragic ending for her.
It is a very tragic, but then again, like it kind of like circles out because I feel like she always feels guilty for her fiance dying.
Yes.
Like he died because of her. Now she'll die so she can save Jamie, like to like make amends for her like wrongdoings. Like even though her fiance in the beginning, that was accidental, but she's always felt guilty about it. So I feel like she would never let that happen to her, like lover.
Yeah. I do think that was also kind of a bit of a letdown the way they did that, because they made the ghost of the fiance such a menacing character because he's the main ghost you see in the first 3 episodes, where you see the figure with the glasses with the yellow lights in them, and then they kind of just drop it after the 3rd episode. You never really see him again.
Exactly. Like if he's haunting her, then wouldn't he like somewhat protect her or push her more towards danger if he's that mad at her? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he would have something to do if he is haunting her.
Yeah, like that one, I think they dropped the ball on that. But we do get, I don't know if you call it the end of the story. I do think it was an interesting twist at the end where we get back to the adult wedding and we find out it's Flora's wedding, and Flora has completely forgotten everything that happened at Bly. Her and Miles forgot the possessions and assumed they spent summers there. At the end, we get the scene where Jamie's in her hotel room. She leaves the door open in hopes that Danny comes back. And we get the shot. The last shot of the show is the hand on the back of the chair. So Danny's ghost has found Jamie again.
Yeah, that would creep me out.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, like I saw that, like that one, surprised it did not creep me out.
I don't know. I just like anytime there's a hand on the back of the chair, it's like, you know what I mean? Like shivers.
Yeah. I do think it's an interesting way to do the love story. It's like, for me, again, going back to Lost, kind of like a lot of these like Lost romances did not end very well because one or both parties ended up dying before they could like have a happily ever after. So like they kind of give me that kind of vibe a little bit.
I'm definitely still upset about the whole like Saeed love with what's her face and like what season 1.
Yeah, Saeed and Shannon.
Yes, still upset about it. Stupid Shannon. She's in for like 5 episodes or 6 episodes.
Yeah, like Saeed, I'm going to take a tangent on that one because I do think they did that character awful at the end of the series.
Yeah, because I ended up watching the entire Lost series for Saeed, but Here we are. That's a discussion for a different podcast.
I did not know you were a Saeed person. He was your guy.
Yeah, he was my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember I started that show as a Locke fan, then I sort of jumped on the Desmond, and like after Desmond showed up, and Locke started being a complete asshole, like in the middle of season 3.
Yeah, no, I was Saeed from day 1.
Yeah. Saeed's a great character, but like the thing I did not like about Saeed, what they did with him was how they sort of abandoned his real life love affair with Nadia, and in the afterlife they had him get together with Shannon again, which I was like, why?
I mean, low-key love that because I didn't like Nadia. I understand where you're coming from like a pretty, from that line. But, like, I just love Shannon and Saeed. I thought it was so cute.
Yeah, so that's the Lost discussion here. So we'll put that aside. So maybe one day we'll do a further Lost discussion. But for now, I think let's leave it here. Let's give this a grade. How did you grade Haunting of Bly Manor?
I'm going to give it a solid B.
Yeah, so why the B?
So, because I want to give it an A just because I like giving it. If I can give out grades, everybody would get an A because I'm not the smartest person you'll meet. But B, for the story, I liked the backstory. I liked the idea of the becoming basically nothing. And you become this, like, machine because you forget who you are. So you go back to your, like, basic human instinct. I didn't like the whole, like you said, the accent thing with the uncle. I didn't fully like how the story, like, finished, how I thought it was, like, rushed at the end. But overall, it was entertaining. I thought it was scary in some spots. So I think it gets a solid passing grade of a B.
Yeah. I'm going a B+. I think I like the episodes. The episodes 5 and 8 were creative enough, I think, that really elevate the whole series. It picks up steam as it goes. I do think that the acting was very well done. Aside from Henry Thomas, I think was miscast in his spot. I think Kate Siegel's flashback episode was a highlight of the whole show, but I think the way they did that was really phenomenal. And I think the thing I give them credit for is they did not attempt to just say, oh, we'll do Hill House again. We'll do the exact same beats. They gave you a different type of angle, which I appreciated.
Agreed.
Yeah. And before we move on from this, I want to also ask, which is an important question considering we have the two signature ghosts of the show. Which one is creepier, the lady in the lake or the bent neck lady from Haunting at Hill House?
100% the Lady of the Lake, because I just was at an Airbnb in Vermont 2 weeks ago, and there was a mini lake, and I literally was scared that something was going to come out of the lake. I stayed in my bedroom when it got too dark, and I locked the door just because of this show.
Yeah, I think I actually go the other way. I go with the bent neck lady just because that's just such a creepy visual to see. It's just a ghost floating around her neck completely bent at a 90-degree angle.
I mean, yeah, but at the end, that's you. You're looking at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's another great point from Hill House is the whole idea that the bent neck lady that's haunting young Nell is an adult after she commits suicide. It's that's really when Hill House gets you really invested. Whoa, they are onto something here. It's the creepiness.
Yeah, that was a very big plot twist of the first season.
It was. And are there any? I do think they're gonna do another haunting, probably 2 years out, like they did with this one. So, what do you think the next haunting would be? What would you want to see them do?
Oh, I don't know, because they do such a good job with these older, these older stories, and then making them modernized.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would like it if maybe there was a little less English accents for actors who aren't the best at doing an English accent.
Yeah.
But I like I don't know. I think I might want more ghosts again. I don't know. The first season they kind of appeared out of nowhere. It was more traditional ghosts. Lady of the Lake was a ghost story, of course, but it was coming out of the water. It was more, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense to you or anybody listening. I just liked that whole, twist in the beginning with the house.
Yeah.
With the multiple ghosts. There's a lot of multiple ghosts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were more of a character.
Yeah. I think they could look. I think there's got to be something the Stephen King collection. I think there's got to be something there they can draw inspiration from. That's my personal opinion.
That's true. I feel they've been doing all these really old ghost stories. Maybe they'll take something out of Edgar Allan Poe or something ridiculous.
Yeah, Edgar Allan Poe would be a good one because Edgar Allan Poe has a lot of weird stuff. If you read some of his things,
a lot of weird stuff and super dark, super dark.
Yeah, I feel like they might do a little bit what they did here because Bly Manor is technically based on Turning of the Screw, but they sort of incorporate a couple of other stories there, the romance of old clothes is a separate ghost story. I think the Lady in the Lake is a separate ghost story. They sort of added different elements, and I can see them doing a hodgepodge of Poe this season 3 would be fun.
Yeah, see, maybe we're on to something here.
I think we are, and let's do 2 quick things before we wrap up here, which is number 1, Unsolved Mysteries. The next batch is back out. What was your favorite episode from the second batch of Unsolved Mysteries?
A Death in Oslo. I want to know who she is.
Yeah, that one got me. I'm still processing that one.
It's funny because I'm ooh, she was a spy. And then they didn't say anything till towards the end. And they're she could have been a spy. I'm yeah, definitely. Who is she?
Yeah.
And they're because if she was a spy, we would never know who she is. I don't even care. You didn't even need to play the spoiler alert. This is an unsolved mystery.
Yeah, I'm not
playing. This is from the 1990s.
I'm not playing for that. That's on Netflix as well. You can check that out there. I do love when they do the episodes where you have the subtitles and it's basically told by people in foreign languages. I think those always stand out.
Oh, yeah. The spirits, the ghosts in Japan.
Yes. That one
that was really good. I don't normally I didn't like the UFO one from the first batch, the first season.
Yeah.
I mean, it was okay. I'm not going to say I don't like it because I watched it. But, this one was really good. And then, the way that different cultures, quote-unquote, deal with ghosts was, really interesting to see.
Yeah, and, again, people who, I've given this plug out before, but my friends Justin and Andy, they have their own podcast. They basically talk about, whatever is on their mind. And they did talk to the guy who was in that episode, one of the people who was, quote-unquote, abducted by the UFOs. Check out their podcast if you want to talk to that guy, because that guy was very interesting to listen to.
Yeah, like it's not like I don't believe in aliens because aliens are technically any living thing, like,
Yeah.
microbacteria or anything outside of Earth. Like, that's totally a thing. But, like, I'm never going to discredit anything I don't know. Just like I don't like the idea of UFOs. I'm rather okay with being haunted by a ghost than getting abducted by, like, aliens with a UFO. People are going to think I'm crazy, but it's okay. I am. So that's why I don't think I, like, watched that one because I didn't thoroughly, like, appreciate it probably from a viewer standpoint.
Yeah, so for those who are curious in that interview, I will say check out the Paul Giamatti School of Hard Knocks podcast. I will share the link to that episode, and that's my plug for them because they sort of spun off of me a little bit, so I'm gonna give them the shout out there. Last thing is, this is Halloween. Talking some Halloween costumes. Let's talk some ideas here. What's a good pop culture costume for 2020?
Now, do you want a good pop culture costume in 2020 or what I'm going to be at work on Halloween for 2020? That's my question for you.
We'll do both. We'll do pop culture first.
Okay, so pop culture, I feel like anything like TikTok related right now, like anything like you can pull from that, like that you're like, you know what I mean? Like you can pull funny things. I'd like to think that, Tiger King still has some sort of like a push and whatnot. But that's like my pop culture thing. Anything like coronavirus-y or like those blow up things are definitely pop culture-y, like blow up T-Rex, blow up animal balloon, like all those things.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things you can do here. I do think this is the only Halloween you can do Tiger King. I think you're doing it next year. You're way too late.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then you have to wait like 10 or 15 years to be like retro, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Tiger King is one you can do. I feel like he's kind of pop culture based on his appearances on the media, but like I feel like Dr. Fauci is going to be a popular Halloween costume this year.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he's a lock for being like one of the most popular Halloween costumes of the year. I'm trying to think what else actually happened this year in terms of pop culture. Like, I will tell you mine, assuming it gets here on time. It's pop culture related. It's like, I will be a supermarket sweep contestant because we talked, Leslie, about the sweaters. They do sell them on ABC's website, so I do have one coming in the mail.
Awesome. I really hope it gets to you in time. If you only hope that my costume gets to me in time.
So what are you going with?
I'm going to be Guy Fieri for Halloween.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I work in a restaurant. I'm going to buy 2 goatees, one for my actual face because we have to wear a mask, and then one for my mask.
Yeah. So
I got a wig. I got a visor. I can do a visor if I want. I have a bowling shirt. I have those like sporty sunglasses, and I've been binge watching a lot of Guy Fieri Food Network, diners, drive-ins, and dives. Not supermarket sweep, Guy's grocery games.
Yeah, the spiritual spinoff.
Yes, yeah, right.
Yeah.
God, so hopefully all my stuff comes in. Hopefully all your stuff comes in.
Yeah, supermarket sweep is like my thing. Is like it's easy. I can rock the sweater and say I'm gonna be rocking this, like running down the aisles and grabbing big inflatable things. That would be fun for Halloween. I think.
Yeah, and you need like one of those like fun like black Sharpie marker, like the thick felt put your name tag.
Yeah,
that's what you need too, though.
Yeah, I could probably make that happen. Like also have the inflatable donuts. I could stick the bonus tag on. That'd be good.
Yes, that'd be great. Yeah. And then you can like, because we have to stay socially distant for Halloween, we can all Halloween in our living room.
Yeah, we can do a Zoom Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to come visit me at work, I'll be in my Guy Fieri costume, fingers crossed, hopefully.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that, but it is going to be on the gram. You said that the other day. So how can people follow on social media if they want to do that? So
on Instagram, where hopefully I'll be posting a good Guy Fieri costume picture on Saturday on the 31st. It's going to be Derosa175. You can always DM me to say you found me on the podcast because I am private because I'm a private individual. Or you could just follow me on Twitter at SDEROS5, so SDeros5. And I'm not part private, I'm public because I have no consistency in my life.
Hey, why not? Just follow Sam on that list. Sam, thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me again, Mike.
Okay, up next, we're going to be joined by Alan Austin to wrap up this Halloween episode. We're going to do a little pop culture draft about what you should do on Halloween, like what sort of content you should consume. if you are not going out and you're being a socially responsible adult, unlike certain LA Dodger players out there, right after this.